Yes, that's right, my dear. Feel the pain. Suffer!
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're scraping at the bottom of the barrel for what might just be the most awful anime to ever air.
俺が全人類の敵?
Number 20, The Island of the Giant Insects. We love schlocky monster movies. We love so bad it's good anime. At the very least, this should have been some passable, cheesy fun, but nope, it's just gross.
虫キャラが
Ignoring the horrendous 3D animation, there's something fetishistic about how each of the busty students are killed off by the colossal bugs, making for a really uncomfortable watching experience. Even if the characters are all asshats practically begging to be taken out, there's no morbid joy to be found here. There's a right and a wrong way to do campy horror, and this is not it.
虫たち相手に辛かったでしょ。千歳ちゃん、私虫たちを殺すために勉強したんじゃない。
Number 19, Dark Cat. Yeah, we hadn't heard of this one either. Then we watched it and instantly regretted our decision. The plot is beyond generic, focusing on a pair of brothers who hunt down tentacle monsters by transforming into house cats? Not exactly the pinnacle of imagination.
Time for some extracurricular activities with teacher.
Pair that with the dullest and most uninspired romance among any OVA from the 90s, and it all becomes too tempting to want to throw this kitty right into the trash. Though we do have to applaud just how awful the dub is for this one. It's impressively atrocious.
Brother! Oh no! The sword, brother! Use the sword!
Here's a lesson for you! That's the sword of the dark cat!
I can't let you have your way. Now you must die.
Number 18, Wonder Momo. We've seen side-scrolling beat-em-ups be turned into legitimately great anime over the years, and this is most certainly not one of them.
っていうかお前ってやめてよ。ちゃんと桃子って芸名で呼んでよね。
They took scantily clad idols, dressed them like Tekkaman ripoffs, who happened to shoot lasers from hula hoops, and made it boring as all hell. Maybe that's due to the 5-minute runtime or choppy animation, but it gets to the point where you're wondering if you'd be more entertained if this was a hentai.
マルチフープバー
Either that, or next time pick a better arcade game to adapt. Number 17, Rusted Armors. And just when you thought the truly abysmal anime was locked away back in the wilderness of yesteryears, no chance.
だって男同士の戦う姿って燃えるじゃない?
Some of these modern cash grabs are in a league of their own, following off the back of X-Arm and Berserk 2016. If anyone even cared to watch this thing, it may have been the next big WTF anime, but as it stands, it sits in the squalid shadows of those that came before it. Don't be fooled though, it's still terrible, with the 3D animation leaps and bounds behind the times, made all the worse when the fight scenes and background art look like this.
膝につけろ。怒りを、悲しみを、悔しさを。目を背けるな。自分の弱さ、愚かさから。
Number 16, Mahou Shoujo Naria Girls.
私ウララ特に黒といって人より得意なことはないけれど明るいだけが取り柄の中学2年生なんだか最近ちょっと変わった夢を見るんだけどあれは何なんだろうまあいい
To say the magical girl genre has become saturated would be a mighty understatement, let alone that of the idol scene. So what happens when you smash both together without bothering to do anything interesting with the result? An abomination of 3D so lazily cobbled together that even at the time, anyone at home could likely have put together something better. What's the story? Does it even matter? This is just another reason why Precure is high art.
にいつどのボンバー
Number 15, Ladyspo. When the title, which is an abbreviation of Lady Sports, is the cleverest thing about this show, you know you've got quite the train wreck on your hands.
私のうんこは今日も快便そのものよ。
The idea of an all-female sports team battling it out in a sci-fi setting isn't the worst idea we've ever heard. The heights that regular sports shows can reach by themselves are beyond impressive. As always, it's in the execution, and from the looks of things, we're guessing some poor intern who had never animated in his life was forced to cobble this together. It's more like a glorified slideshow.
だから負けるわけにはいかないんだ!
Number 14, Hanukkah. No, this isn't a flash animation on Newgrounds. It's a legitimate anime.
誰か私を救い出してよ
Alas, it fails at the starting line. Even if your nostalgia for this art style rings true, it buckles under the weight of its lofty narrative aspirations. Human-alien hybrid, raised to be a weapon, struggling with her identity, military versus extraterrestrial shenanigans. We've seen all these a million times before, and each one of them hit the mark better. It's sort of tragic because deep down you can tell there was passion for this. It's just that the budget couldn't match the ambition.
ハノカ後ろだ
Number 13, Ninja Collection. First things first, there's no actual ninjas here, so that's strike one.
何なのよこれあなた誰
But even if there were, nothing could save this series from the sum of its parts. Its crudely animated, unscary, and obnoxious parts. Horror and spookiness can take all kinds of forms in anime, even with a minimalist approach to the visuals. But there is a limit, and unfortunately, this anthology is nothing more than a waste of time that somehow was broadcast for all to see. There's a reason why Yamashibai Japanese Ghost Stories is still going strong, and this, well, it isn't.
息してない死んでる
Number 12, X-Arm. There have been a select few anime whose overall ineptitude caused them widespread condemnation upon release, and X-Arm sits happily among that pantheon. The combination of average 2D art combined with truly abysmal 3D art cannot be understated. This thing is ugly to look at when the characters are static and downright laughable when they throw themselves into a fight scene. The sci-fi narrative isn't anything to write home about either, but even if it was penned by a master wordsmith, we doubt anyone would give it the time of day when it looks like the 3D models are actively trying to unalive themselves. Number 11, Gibiate.
何から話せばいいかな
A samurai and a ninja get pulled into a dystopian future plagued with infected humans and fall flat on their face every step of the way. Before release, this was supposed to be the next big thing. And yet, between penning the idea and releasing it onto the world, everything went wrong. Characters are flat, the art is ugly to behold, the story has no weight, the fight scenes are an exercise in frustration, and all you get from binging the whole thing is a profound sense of wasted time. It's a landmark in modern anime failures, and hopefully we've seen the last of its kind. I mean, we probably haven't, but we can still dream.
わしが守るからね心配しなくていいよ
Number 10, Musashi Gundo. Given the series' creator had to apologize for just how much of a negative reception it received, it's fair to say that it's so bad its good status was unintentional.
白鳥
The story itself is rather uninspired, with a gun-wielding samurai warrior traveling through feudal Japan, taking out monsters. Unfortunately, that's only the start of its problems. The animation is horrendous, the backgrounds look like they're taken out of Google Images, and the sound quality is constantly dipping. Number 9, Zaizen Jotaro. Unintentional hilarity is the name of the game when it comes to this series, something you probably don't want when you're trying to create a detective thriller about government corruption.
一度は死んだ身、二度目はごめんだ。
However, due to subpar animation quality and a bland lead character who's pretty much Super James Bond, that's exactly what we get. The action has no impact, and the character has no likability, so all we're left with is a dull set of static scenes which prevents us from getting invested into the supposedly engrossing political capers.
本気なの？本気で私を抱いてくれるの？
The Bomb.
Number 8. Wounded Man. Even with low animation quality, many a series has shown that they can overcome their limits and still produce amazing work. This is not one of them, especially when you start your series with your female lead being assaulted by the so-called protagonist.
Ready, set,
Some other plot points about the gold rush in the Amazon rainforest, but it's as drab as can be. What's that? She ends up falling for him right after he attacks her? Because of course she does.
GPX God Pornographic Accelerated Film.
Number 7. Superior Defender Gundam Force. A series meant to celebrate 25 years of the Gundam franchise.
We'll have you cooking with gas in no time.
Well, that sounds awesome. What are you gonna give us? Have a mass crossover with the main pilots? Nope. Instead, what we get is a watered-down 3D version aimed at a very, very young audience.
Soul Drive activated!
The mobile suits are sentient, the animation is just ugly to behold, and feels more like a cash grab than a celebration of such a beloved franchise. This ain't Gundam Build Fighters. Number 6. Generation of Chaos. If the aim of the game was to literally promote a game with this adaptation, this thing is a spectacular failure. We get a glimpse at what we can assume will be our main cast, but barely anything happens. Just a lot of badly animated walking and talking that fails to bring the world these cardboard cutouts inhabit to life. You know, for a supposed generation filled with it, we don't see a lot of chaos going on here.
なぜなの？私のせいなの？どうすればいいの？
Number 5. Vampire Homes.
なんで床で寝ているんですか？
床は俺のベッドだ。
Because that's what one of fiction's greatest detectives was missing. It needed more vampires. Though what else could we expect from an anime based on a smartphone app?
デスクは女性のように優しく扱う。
何の話ですか？
What little this series could have offered is quickly flushed away in lieu of terrible gags, all horribly rendered in 3D CG. Are there even any actual bloodsuckers in this series? Or is just the show itself slowly killing our brain cells in bite-sized pieces?
家賃払え！もう少し待ってください！
Number 4. Psychic Wars.
Lamp.
Fancy checking out a classic anime movie? Well, do yourself a favor and avoid this one, because we doubt you are ready to experience this level of insanity. After being informed by a cancerous growth that a demonic army is about to invade the Earth, a lone surgeon is imbued with superhuman strength and sent thousands of years into the past to defeat it. That might sound like a hilarious head trip, but trust us, it is not worth it. Its editing leaps all over the place, its story doesn't go beyond muscular physician punches demon, and features a slew of unwarranted, raunchy scenes complete with synth music.
There's no way. Everything you ever told me was a lie, so don't expect me to believe you now.
You don't have to be a psychic to tell how bad this flick is. Number 3. Skelter Heaven. And this is why low-tier video game developers don't always make the best choices for anime creators.
構うな。お前はターゲットを目指せ。
でも、ミサキが、緑が。
命令に従うんだ。
When an alien object appears over Tokyo, it's down to a group of young ladies, all in scantily clad uniforms, piloting horribly animated mechs to defeat it. What may work for a JRPG clearly doesn't translate well to the screen in this instance. The alien menace, which is frankly an animated sin against the medium, practically takes a back seat to the would-be harem, who in themselves have no character to speak of. The fact they essentially try to lore dump a whole season's worth into a single OVA is startling.
繰り返される破壊行為には終わりが見えない。
Number 2, Pupa.
生まれながらにして歯が生え揃っていました。まるで自分が化け物であることを主張するように。
Prepare yourselves because this is where things get really ugly. When a virus is unleashed on the populace, an affected brother and sister find themselves in something of a perpetual hell, which we are forced to witness. This includes the older brother getting dissected over and over since he can regenerate his flesh, allowing his little sister to eat pieces of him. We also see every adult act out their sadistic wants, and finally, the bittersweet conclusion as brother and sister turn into hideous monsters and devour each other. Have fun scrubbing that from your brain.
血にまみれて一心に肉を頬張る妹の姿。
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, Mars of Destruction. From the same company that gave us Skelter Heaven comes what can only be considered a massive failure in anime. How does it hold up? Characters that are thinner than paper, below subpar animation, a narrative so clunky and rushed that you barely have any time to wrap your head around what's going on before the show actually has the nerve to try and drop a twist ending.
この星を侵略したのは貴様たちなのだ。俺たちこそ地球人。
It's so desperate to ride on the high of other invasion anime that it's kind of embarrassing. Long may it live in infamy.
俺たちがこの星を侵略した。
Which anime do you consider to be the worst? Let us know in those comments below.
解決できたでしょう。このくらい。
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.